What did another person do that accidentally turned you on? Senior year I had a trig teacher who was 24 and gorgeous. We got on quite well as student and teacher. One day, I was in a particularly shitty mood and tramping down the hallway. Someone called my name in a rather childish fashion. So I shot a glance that conveyed my mood. Then I heard my name in her teacher voice. I whipped around to face her and she growled at me while making a claw gesture with her hand. Before telling me to smile. That growl. Oh man. I'll be in my bunk. I feel like you missed an opportunity in one of my top fantasies. Me, male, and one of my female friends were at a party and we started to jokingly shitty talk each other as friends do. I jokingly respond, how dare you? And pretend to give an indignant slap that, in reality, was little more than a pat on her cheek. She retorts, no. How dare you? And gives one back. Now we're doing fake slaps back and forth, but we start getting harder with the slaps and it quickly turns into a game of chicken. I was expecting I'd have to stop from cheek pain. The actual reason I had to stop was because when the game escalated and she gave me the first full force slap across the face, I got really turned on. Like, as soon as she struck me, instant hard on. It was a learning moment for Fibonacci fanboy that night. This happens all the time when people I know decide to touch my neck collarbone area for whatever reason. It's extremely sensitive and I have to explain to people every goddamn time to please not touch me there unless you intend to duck me. What is the percentage of people who does that in order to do you? It is like a flirt move. It's almost always friends who are just messing with me. Every time I have to explain that no. That's a sensitive area. Do not touch me there. I make a point to look away ASAP if a girl is putting her hair up into a ponytail. If she is even remotely attractive. It immediately sends my brain to I'm about to get head. I was working in a deli. Promoted to shift leader. I made sure everything was managed for the closing shift. This plain looking girl named Jenny was one of my subordinates. She wasn't unattractive to me. But she was a co-worker dressed in uniform. Apron. Hairnet. So obviously not hot. I asked her to do a few tasks. She replied, yes, master. Been airtime. I was in middle school riding home on the bus. 4 of us in that bus were playing a truth or dare game from an iPod. One girl was dared to blow into my ear. We all thought it was weird and didn't understand why that was such a big deal. And then she blew in my ear and I immediately understood. Also, coincidentally, got a crush on that very girl shortly after. I was seeing a girl that loved dancing but had zero rhythm, and every time she'd flail those arms on the dance floor I would immediately be super attracted to her. To those girls out there that can't dance, keep doing you. A few years back, I dated a pretty hot girl. She was a smoker and used mints for her breath. She would whisper or scream, but usually just whisper, "Oh duck" during sex. Fast forward a few years after that. One of my co-worker is a 45-year dude. He smokes and uses mints. One day I want to show him something on my screen. So he leans in relatively close to my face and whispers, "Oh duck." Very confusing moment. This is basically the Pavlovian response. Back in college I was hanging out with my co-ed group of friends in my dorm room. I think it was one of my female friends' first time seeing my room because I remember her being interested in my stuff. She instantly saw the rubber ducky I had on my desk, picked it up, and started squeezing it at me trying to be funny. I didn't know how to react because while other people were laughing, I focused on hiding my erection. Nothing else came out of that friendship. But I learned to stop leaving my duckies out in the open when company came over. I had a male co-worker that started trying to plait my hair, long at a time, when I was on the phone. I was very distracted. Duck, it was strangely hot. Friend of mine was discussing a particularly good burger. He moaned over how good it was. Instant wet. Innocently beg for something. I have a roommate that will make moaning like noises when he's really enjoying his food. It can be uncomfortable. Primarily cause it's the same sounds I've overheard when his girl is over. He and his girl enjoy food together. What's the problem? You know when you accidentally catch someone's eye and people normally glance away embarrassed? Well, she held the gaze and made a nice big smile. Not exactly turned on by it, but it was very nice to be on the receiving end of and extremely memorable. This happened to me for the first time yesterday. It wasn't a turn on for me, but I managed not to glance away like a creep for once. I used to work at a grocery store. One day a girl around the same age as me said thank you, sir, after I helped her find something. I learned some stuff about myself that day. She didn't even do anything. I smelt her hair conditioner and I got turned on. She was sitting 20 centimeters away from me. Life as a teenage male. Had to make a phone call to Atlanta for work. The woman I spoke with had the easiest voice accent I have ever heard before. Or since. My voice isn't particularly deep or anything, and like everyone else I think it sounds weird when I hear it in a recording. But like twice a year I will be talking to a female on the phone and they will say, "Oh. Wait. Whoa. You have the best voice." Or similar in a really gushy tone. Then they always get embarrassed and apologize for saying something afterward. So I've got that going for me. Which is nice. A friend of mine invited me and another friend out for milkshakes. And at one point she got some of hers on her fingertip. So she licked it off. I felt very flustered about this. So I turned to my other friend who was also licking milkshake off her fingertips. Anyway. It turns out I'm a lesbian. One time my husband backed our truck into a really small space downtown in one quick sweep. I don't know if it was his impressive precise parking skills or the notion of fitting something so big into such a tight space so smoothly that turned me on. She was playing footsie with me in Spanish class, sitting across from each other, and eventually just set her foot down on my seat between my legs. And then she accidentally kicked my DCK hard. It wasn't painful at all, but holy shit, I was hard for hours. I don't know why. I was sitting with a friend who was teaching me how to tie a bunch of knots and hitches. Figure eights. Clove hitches. Bowline. Then he puts a handcuff knot on me and yanks me to my feet by my wrists. By the look on his face and how fast another friend whipped his head around to look at us, I must have made a noise. Oops. During a slow day at work, a female co-worker came up and started giving me a massage for no apparent reason and without warning. She was rubbing my shoulders, and although I was honestly a bit confused and somewhat annoyed that she would just randomly touch me without my permission, we weren't really friendly like that. It felt really good, so I didn't protest. As she was telling me a story, I decided to look up from my phone. The combination of her massage skills, cute voice, and eye contact made me insta hard. I got super embarrassed and worked vigilantly to get rid of it before she noticed. I think I succeeded. But I'll never know for sure. Edit. Didn't expect so many people to read this, so I just wanna explain a few things. It's possible the girl was into me and I missed obvious signals. But she is super flirty by nature and she has a boyfriend, so I didn't want to get involved in that drama. I was also madly in love with a separate co-worker at the time, which caused me to have ridiculously strong tunnel vision. Of course that didn't work out. But that's a different story for a different time. She was looking for something on the floor on her hands and knees. Also, she was in running shorts and a shirt. Ah, there you go, the good old running shorts. Nothing tops that. I was sitting on a couch my school had in a room that was just for seniors. I was in there for about 20 minutes before she walked in and sat down on the other side of the couch. She decided that she would be more comfortable laying down on the couch. And I know her pretty well. So she lays down like no one else is on the couch and puts her legs across mine. I now know that I'm a leg guy. Edit. This got more attention than I thought it would. This is my first comment to hit over 1.5k upvotes. Thanks. Ninth grade me. Small class. Everyone knew each other. We were on a school trip and stopped at McDonald's. About to head out, so I get a milkshake like some others. Machine isn't broke. Miraculously. Introduce girl that people kept shipping me with. She has a milkshake too. Talk to her. Takes a long slurp. Opens mouth to talk. Plenty of milkshake still in it. Closes to swallow. Needless to say, looked like a CM swallow scene. Was pretty hot in 15 yo. Me brain. I've mentioned this before on Reddit. But one night I went on a date with a guy I met online who turned out to be a tool. We missed the last bus. So we had to walk. We ended up getting mugged. Bad date got all macho and lippy. And guy mugging him pulled a gun and stuck it in bad date's mouth. Goddamn. Mr. Mugger. The year was 1995. The place was the Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan. I was 13 or 14. My friend and I had tickets to see Rem play a show that night. I was really excited to see them live. They were at peak popularity and this was their first big tour in like 5 years maybe. Anyways. We get to our seats and show is about to start. This woman and a group of her friends are a row ahead of us. She had short brown hair. A tiny waist. And very thick ass. Black leather jacket and jeans that looked like they were painted on. Didn't think much of it at first until the show started. I was then pretty much fixated on this big bouncing booty right in front of me for the next 3 hours. That was the day I learned I'm an ass man. I had a friend I worked with that I'd had and gotten over a little crush on. Then one day, when it was just the two of us up front in the store, she started going on about some very detailed math about capture rates in Pokemon. Hardcore stats about how easy or hard it was to capture a given Pokemon in a particular game. Right off the top of the dome. I had never been more attracted to her in our 5-ish years of knowing each other than I was in that moment. Seriously had to go find work to do in the back room to calm down a little. I haven't even played a real Pokemon game in a solid 8 years. I think. Didn't get on the Pokemon Go train. Just a good looking, nerdy girl nerding out on something she's clearly super into was like poison ivy's love dust to me. In college one of my professors was former federal law enforcement. And he picked me from the class to demonstrate how an interrogation might go. He had me sit in a seat directly across from him and demonstrated how he would slowly move closer and closer to the person being interrogated. Up until the point where he had his knee between mine. It's kind of a thing for me now.